Coming to you from Music City, Nashville, Tennessee, this is the Quinn Spinn. Hey now, and welcome once again, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, one and all, to a brand new edition of... I could have kept going. The Quinn Spinn. I'm your host, The Quinn. I'm back here on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Anchor, Stitcher, YouTube, and more for another rousing and riveting installment of the official podcast of Underground Music Collective. You just heard Revel 9's All I've Become, which has been our opening theme song here at the Quinn Spinn since the great year of 2014, and it will be until the very end of days. And I'm excited about this one. This one I feel is a long time coming. A lot of ground to cover. I have O'Brien joining me on the show, who we did a feature together for UMC about 2.5 years ago. Literally sat down for that interview like a week and a half before the Nashville tornado, a few weeks before the COVID shutdowns. A lot certainly has changed in the world, the creative landscape, I'm sure both of our lives. So I'm excited to have you on because it was such a great feature, such a great conversation last time. I'm just excited to see where this one goes. So thank you for coming.
Fuck yeah. Can I swear?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay,
this is the internet. I don't give a shit.
This is the internet, man.
Yeah, Wild West. It's the Wild West.
West.
I'm not owned by any network.
Oh, yeah.
I own my own network.
There we go.
Like Oprah.
You got that intro down.
Well, I know.
It was snappy.
It's been 9+ years of like doing it over and over.
Yeah.
You know, like I honestly didn't think I'd be doing this long, but here we are. But
I felt that.
It's evolved over time. You know, I've just kept adding things to it. It's changed as the show has changed and as I've changed locations. You know, so
yeah,
it's but it's I mean, it's part of every show. It's just there, you know, like it or not. But most people seem to enjoy it. Most people seem at least entertained by it, or at least humoring me. But anyway, not here to talk about me. We're here to talk about life and you and your artistry. And so I ask every guest of the show 3 standard questions and answer these however you'd like. So they are: who are you? What are your passions? And why on earth would you want to come on the Quinn Spinn?
I am O'Brien, an absolute degenerate. No. Yeah, so I go by O'Brien. It's like a pseudonym.
Mm-hmm.
That's the right word, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I found it. And from the source that I got it from, because I don't even know if we talked about that.
I don't know if we did
back then.
No.
Yeah, fuck it. I'll let it rip.
Yeah, let it rip.
So it's from the book 1984.
Uh-huh.
And we read that in, I want to say, sophomore English for like high school.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember I had like a really cool teacher, and she was like, all right, we're going to go around the room and we're going to make educated guesses
mm-hmm.
as far as like, you know, where we think the story's going, how much of, you know, like that foreseen future applies to now.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember saying that the O'Brien character I thought was kind of going to be like a double agent.
Mm-hmm.
And then I was like really strong about that. I remember like I did like a mini thesis just like in my own time. So I'm a fucking nerd. And I turned out to be completely wrong. And he was basically like the like actual like human like antagonist the whole time. He was the one like pulling the strings. And that kind of resonated. And at the time, I was just going by, I had, I don't know, like 20 followers on SoundCloud. And I was just going by like whatever first popped into my head of like, this is it,
mm-hmm.
which it wasn't. And then, yeah, that kind of hit me as like, oh, like, you know, perception can be deceiving, and, you know, playing into how I sort of still see myself. I was like, yeah, this works. Next thing was
what are your passions?
Passion. I don't have any. Honestly, self-expression. That could be, you know, anything from how you choose to look, you know, what you wear, how you style yourself, how you represent yourself, what you choose to talk about, what you don't. I think self-expression is like the driving force to a lot of things, which goes undermined. And I feel like that kind of gets lost in the, you know, the business and like the step program as far as how you should go about being an artist of whatever kind. You know, like you're writing a book, you have to get that edited 7 times by a whole team. You're writing a movie, it might not even see, you know, the smallest, you know, indie film festival screen for 7 years because the whole process. You know, you're creating a body of music, and you could either be going against yourself and be like, no, I want to take this somewhere different, it's been too long, or you could be, you know, at a different point in your career, and then it's got to make sure everyone at that big long desk on that top floor of the label has to, you know, at least somewhat see what you're trying to do. So I feel like when you circle back to just like really putting care and focus into how you want to go about things, I think it opens a lot of doors. And there's, you know, there's other stuff where it's like like a nice meal, you know, or it's like stuff like that for like life that, you know, you can be passionate about. But as far as like to the core, I would say self-expression.
Well, I mean, that's huge, and that's what helps you find your true audience, as opposed to the audience manufactured for you, you know, by external forces. So why on earth would you want to choose this show to express yourself, as a vehicle to express yourself?
Gotta reconnect, man. Reconnect. Did this when I was 19.
So we we did that feature on Underground Music Collective. It was you and Puff Host playing over at somewhere over there by Belmont. I don't even remember.
Boulevard Records.
Boulevard Records. That was it. I couldn't for the life of me like remember that. I drive by it all the time, and I'm just like,
oh, it still exists?
I don't know if it's still there. And that's the thing. Like, I think it's something different now, and I'm like, or maybe it's not, and I just forgot that it was called Boulevard Records. And I drive by it all the time. I'm like, what was the name of that place? Like, which one of these was it? But like, I'm in that area because I DoorDash sometimes, and like that show, like you and Puff Host, like two very different acts, but both rooted in this idea of unabashed self-expression. You know? And we before that we had actually sat down backstage and done this interview for this feature we'd end up writing, you know, and it was powerful because like I think I told you, because a few weeks ago we ran into each other at one of our Nash Live shows over at Cobra, and like you came up to me, you're like, do you remember me? I'm like, of course I do. That was a big one for me because I was having a really bad day that day. Like I was about to break things off with this girl. Like I was just not feeling like, you know, being a human that day. And I come and we have that conversation, and it was just one of those like, okay, this is what I do this for. Like I can always come to this thing, you know, whenever the rest of the world's kind of breaking down around me, like I have this, you know, I have this outlet, this platform, you know, so, and that feature came out about a month later after the COVID shutdowns, because this interview was like a few weeks before the country had shut down, and I finally had time.
Timing was crazy.
You know, I had time to sit down, transcribe it. Your release Red had just come out. You were working on a quadrilogy of releases at the time. But I want to use this opportunity to catch up and just talk about, you know, what you've been working on. Of course, what's coming down the pike. But before we do that, I want people to get to know the real you in the context of how you came to this creative path. So formative experiences, formative influences of yours. Like what made you want to dig so far into music and pursue it and connect with people in this way?
Oh, shit. I feel like I'm going to like properly like rephrase maybe the way like I wanted to have said things back when we did the interview. I mean the main like reason, you know, there's the fact that one, I've always loved writing. It was just, you know, you could take your time with it. Even still, like part of me still prefers to you know, text people, because I can really like make sure you know, the point I'm trying to make either gets across to the best of my ability, or just being able to, you know, take those moments and either like reconfigure things in my head, or just try to say things like the best way possible. Because I feel like anytime there's like a pause in conversation, especially if it's like heated or it's like emotion based, it can be taken in so many different ways. Um, and I kind of saw that as a kid of just like, I can focus on, whatever this is a mine. Like I fully control it, which definitely developed some bad habits with that process. But yeah, writing was always just something I turned to. And then as far as like the need to do it, I mean, like definitely like mental health.
Yeah.
I'm fucked up.
Aren't we all?
Yeah.
In our own ways.
Yeah. But it just felt like a call to action. I remember the first time I wrote a song. I was in, I want to say, third grade, and it was just some very small scaled writing assignment, being like, okay, class, like we're gonna do this today. I remember I like sprung up my little arm, raised my hand, and I was like, oh, like can I write a song instead? And like vividly remember every single head in that classroom just like turning around and like looking at me because I was like in the back. And the song was complete garbage, and honestly it didn't even have anything to do with the prompt. But the teacher was like, yeah, cool. And then ever since then it was like I don't have to be afraid of this. Because as a kid I also danced, and so being introduced to the stage and inadvertently just performing in front of hundreds of people, because there could be 200 to 300 kids at each competition, and with that you have to think families, friends. They always say like younger fans are the ones you want to have, depending on your genre, but as far as like the overall machine of like the music industry, because little girl wants to go see Justin Bieber,
parents have to take
she
her.
can't go by herself. So yeah, we went from 1 ticket sold to 3 or 4. And I mean I loved being on stage, and it definitely like pushed me through like the training of it, whereas like I don't get stage fright. I don't worry about like my steps because I've done it for so long. Maybe not consecutively, but you start doing that when you're a little kid, when you're in that stage of your life where you're just a sponge. And it's like, okay, like yeah, we got this down now. But getting into it, it was super daunting. Just feeling like the warmth of the lights was one of those things where I'm like, well, this doesn't feel like a normal room.
Right.
And then, like the theatrics of it, the curtain opening and closing, and, whatever.
Such a high stakes moment when that curtain opens.
Yeah. And you were, sitting backstage and you were watching everyone else go and go and go. And yeah, it was just like a crazy, like instant high. And then, I mean, maybe not so as much being a kid, but you get like the instant gratification, dopamine. Oh, this is amazing. And then the show's over. And then it's like, fuck.
You go through that withdrawal.
Yeah.
And post-show withdrawal.
That was like, I feel like happening under the surface, because I was still like, around my buddies, or like met up with so-and-so, fucking went to Chili's after.
Chili's.
Like, just some shit like that. But yeah, just that like, up to down was kind of like always going on under the surface, and I didn't really like recognize it. So once I stopped doing that, writing again was like, oh, like the lights don't have to be on, the fucking like small like theater arena doesn't have to be filled, and the applause isn't ear shattering, and waiting to see what place we got or whatever. So writing was like, I can just turn to it whenever. I could have a notepad on me for this. I don't have to finish what this song could be. I don't have to finish this poem. and it was just like a lot of enjoyment as far as like figuring out how I should write and what clicks for me. And, you know, flash forward to now, a buddy of mine who's on my song Self-Destruct, 8 Corpses. If you guys don't know him, you should. But he hit me with an open, which is basically like, you know, he has his parts in the song, that like bass master or whatever. And then there's just like the open instrumental, which would be for a feature or, you know, someone else to collaborate and write something together or whatever. And he sent me that. And I turned around the verse for him in like 3 minutes. And it's like actually good. And him and I like talked about it for the rest of the night. But it's like there was so much like training I think I wasn't aware of, where I can just like zone in on it now, which is cool.
Yeah, it becomes second nature after a while.
Yeah.
You know, like you get enough of those reps, you know, of writing, of structuring, you know, that it does become second nature. Like even the show, like the intro, you mentioned the intro. Well, that's 9 years of doing it. You know? Like it just rolls off to where like I can't think about it, because if I do think about it, I'm gonna screw it up. I just need to just like go into this autopilot mode and just like let things flow. And being able to get into that flow state, pen to paper, you know, has definitely it's helped you in your expression. You know, the last time that we got together, you know, we talked a lot about the emotional expression and how art serves to open people up and start these conversations we're afraid to have. You know, you had mentioned yourself that like you had pointed out, like in society, we're afraid to cry in front of people.
I love that I said that.
Yeah. And it's true. Like, you know, you think about like how we were raised as boys, you know, I grew up in rural New Jersey. Like you didn't show emotions. You just, you know, you toughed it out. You got angry. You sucked it up. I heard that all through my childhood. And we're realizing now, I think we're coming to a point, especially, you know, since the pandemic, where we realize that we all need to find healthier ways of dealing with our emotions. And so for you, you've been using music to deal with your emotions and to express your emotions for years. So like, how have you evolved, or how have you seen that evolution take place throughout the course of the pandemic, and how has it impacted what you write and what you're working on right now?
I think the pandemic was just like a big reality check for everyone in their own ways. But I mean, to the root of it all, it's like we have our routines and we do what we do, and we practice what we know, because, you know, that's what works, and this is it, and this is life. And then that kind of came in, and I mean, you know,
it shook it all up.
Yeah. Aside from the horrible, you know, losses and complications and everything that spewed out of it, I think it was, you know, in a more positive outlook to look back at it. It was just like
a wake-up call.
Yeah, it was a wake-up call. It had to stir things up, kind of put everything in a different perspective. And I would say I've had a lot of those moments from the pandemic up until now. It's only really up until recently that I have been able to take them for what they are, and to try and, you know, adapt, and to bring that into how I go about things now. Because a lot of it, again, like I mentioned before, where as a kid, you know, feeling like I had complete control with whatever I wrote, because you do, you know, it's up to you as far as what you put on the page. But that definitely spewed a lot of bad habits.
Right.
And, you know, that might not necessarily be, oh, I'm not open to criticism, because I am. I'm not open to new ideas. It's just like there was a very big like centering on as far as like no, like this has to sound like
Mhm.
me.
Yeah. An
You know,
attachment to a certain style, to a
yeah.
certain mode of expression.
But even with just like a day-to-day life, like I read a book over the summer, and I laugh about that just because it's like I never, maybe not never, but as far as who I am as a person, being able to sit down and remain still and
Mhm.
focus on turning pages and really like internalizing what I'm taking in when it's not a movie, it's not a song, it's not this chaotic thing.
It's just words on a page.
It's just words on a page,
Yeah.
dog, in a silent room. But yeah, like it helped me put a lot of pieces together. And so now I'm at a point where control, it's hard to see it as anything but negative, because even with what I stand for as a person and my issues with authority and anything of that sort, I'm against control. I'm against the things have to be done this way. We will never change. We will never learn. So how could I, as someone who's trying to not be a leader, but I guess like a representative to it, how could I be like, yeah, that's all well and good, and then when the door closes, I'm just like, I need to control everything.
Right,
Like,
right.
it wasn't working out.
Yeah.
And that's led a lot even to the creative process. There were times where even 6 months ago, I was like feeling a kick, and I was like, you know what, I'm gonna make the deluxe to this album that's not gonna be out for this long, and I'm gonna do it today. And I did. I produced and wrote like 7 songs that day. I didn't eat until like 8 p.m. and I was like, this was good. like this was healthy. And now I'm like, if I can't get the line right, I'm just gonna go to bed.
Right.
I'm just gonna let it, be what it has to be. It doesn't need to be this, I have to best myself. I have to prove everyone wrong. I have to,
Right.
Do this.
Yeah.
It's just fucking exhausting.
Yeah. And I mean,
And I hit that wall and I was like, fuck this.
yeah. At the end of the day, it's got to be good enough for you,
Mhm.
and it takes time to develop those ideas,
Yeah.
And one thing that I've realized, over the course of my creative journey is that you're rarely going to get it right the first time.
Yeah.
You're rarely going to get it right the first time, but each time, each attempt is a part of the process of bringing yourself to a greater station of creativity that you can be proud of, satisfied with. You learn from every single project. You learn from everything you do, whether it ends up seeing the light of day or not, So the important thing is to keep creating, but also know when your creative juice is just about tapped. Because we all get overtired, we all have those days where we're not feeling a whole lot of inspiration. There are other things weighing on our minds. And I was just talking to Foundation Mecca, previous guests on last week's episode about this, about how you can't force it. Because people will know when it's forced. You will know when it's forced. And ultimately, something forced is not something you're going to be proud of.
Yeah.
So it's good to take those moments and recognize the way you're feeling, the way that you're feeling and how that's reflecting in the work, and whether you can do work that you'll be proud of, your best work per se, in that current state. And sometimes it is best to just be like, let me leave this alone.
Yeah. And there's a lot of clarity too to just being nothing has to be planned.
Right.
You can have ideas, but I mean, I'm not going to say too much about it. But I have a whiteboard, and my friends know, past people I've worked with know, roommates have known, that object, for the longest time for me was like the physical form of being able to see that like this guy's a threat. and he can, he can do this. And I would talk to people where, it's like, overheard that, so and so in whatever band, they might get dropped because they haven't been able to turn out a song in 6 months. And even still to this day, just because like the way I've honed it in, but differently, more ignorant back then, I would immediately interject and be like, they're fucking pathetic. Like,
Right.
get out of the way. What are you doing?
Right.
Here I am with this, and this is going to come out after this time, and this. And it developed this like, complex of, I'm being skipped out on, and I'm, underappreciated, and that's just not healthy.
Right.
And then, I would talk to my brother about it, and he's like, dude, like, take it out of your room. And when he first said that, I was like, it like put me in like an existential crisis, because I was like, if I take this out of my room, if I don't see it every day, how do I know? How do I know that those ideas do exist? How is the room gonna look without it?
Right.
Which might sound, stupid, but it's true. It was one of those things, and now it's not in the room, and I still have it, on my phone, and I'll look back at it from time to time to rework ideas. But yeah, it was just part of this control, this plan. Everything has to go according to plan, because I idolized people that did the same thing. I found out from My Chemical Romance, Gerard Way, there's this, I guess you could say, documentary on YouTube. I think it's called Life on the Murder Scene, or something like that. It's like 2 hours. It was like a full, from beginning all the way getting up to that point of when 3 Cheers was out for like, I don't know, maybe 2 years or something. So like right before the Black Parade kicked in.
Yeah.
And in that, he said, yeah, like at the first show we ever played, I wore a t-shirt that had our next EP's name on it. And hearing that from him, in my opinion, a genius, I was like, oh shit, like I'm not the only one that does this. Someone that I look up to in some way or another does the same thing. So this is good. This works. And, just not realizing that the scales were so different as everyone's path is. It kind of turned into, my outlet turned on me. It didn't work. It didn't pan out.
Right.
The snowballs that I was trying to roll down the hill, turned out the hill was a flat driveway. And I was just like, this is going to work. It's snowing. But yeah, so it was just a lot of trying to look at it differently, and finding, a straight way through it of just like, fuck, like I'm so sick of this, and like I need to go about it in a different way.
Yeah.
And it's led me to like a very like, okay, I'm back.
Yeah.
Like creatively.
Yeah. I think assessing your process sometimes is necessary, but also consistently one of the healthiest things you can do.
Yeah. 100%.
You
have to be on you.
Yeah. And you have to, I think, accept that you don't know all the answers. You don't know what the future holds. I mean, the pandemic showed us all that, I don't think we were expecting to be in lockdown a few weeks after that last interview, but, having some room to adjust, having some room to do something, to follow the trail on an opportunity should it arise that runs counter to what's the grand vision laid out, in your case, on a whiteboard. There has to be some flexibility. Sometimes the most unplanned things lead to the most, to the richest experiences, and to the most meaningful experiences, where then it feels like the switch flips and you're like, you found something that if you had stuck to the plan, you wouldn't have found before. I've mentioned this on a few episodes now. I took a month in the Northeast over the summer, and I was not planning to stay up there for a month, but I did it because I felt like I needed to. I felt like I needed to refill my cup, and the entire time in the weeks leading up, I'm like, is this a good idea? How can I leave Nashville for this long? It was the best thing I could have done.
Yep. Because
I got to go live my life, another part of it for a while, so I can come back to this one fresh and firing on all cylinders. Yep. Without that, because the original plan was go up, work a festival, come back here for 2 weeks, go back to the beach, and then come all the way back again. 2 800-mile trips one way. 4 really. So you're talking 3,200 miles on the road in a month. Plus, I'm not even anywhere long enough to appreciate, enjoy it, to recharge. Yeah. Then I come back here. If I do that, just as frazzled as ever if I had stuck to the plan. I stayed. I found work up there. I made sure things were running fine enough back here. I'm just like, I'm going to take this time for me. Yeah. Take this time to recalibrate. Best thing I could have done because I actually came back refreshed and recalibrated. Yeah. And it just goes to show, like, sometimes what you hadn't planned on is the best thing for you. And being willing to let go of that sense of, I need to control this. I need to control everything about my environment, everything from bell to bell that happens in every single day. Eventually that does turn on you, like you said, and it's going to start eating you alive. If one thing goes imperfectly, one hair's out of place, then it's going to feel like you failed. If you're striving for that level of perfection, it's impossible.
And even, with the work ethic, rest in peace, but Kobe's mentality, like the Mamba mentality of you're the first at the gym, you're the last one to leave. You practice 3 extra times, whatever it might have been. It doesn't work for everyone.
Right.
And then, with music, what's the line? I'm blanking on the line. It's Kanye. 3 beats a day for 2 summers on 5 CPUs. It's like, okay, you should already be at that point that you can I can make beats. Do you have to be on it that much? And what are you actually creating? Are you, filling the quota? Or are you making your best thing every single time?
And does it lead to just a bunch of unfinished projects?
Yeah.
That never even have the room to grow.
And what does that turn into when it's just like, again, thrown back in that just mental warfare of, oh, well, today was a waste because I didn't even finish any of them, and then that doesn't count. And then it's like you're doing it to yourself.
Right. Right.
And there's time and place, and I'm not gonna ignore those kicks when I'm like, fuck it, 7 songs today, let's go.
Yeah.
But
to be on like that all the time,
yeah, no,
it's not sustainable.
No,
and I think
it's ridiculous.
And I think here in Nashville, like the co-writing culture, I think a particularly toxic aspect of it, for lack of a better term, is I need to come out of this right with a hit. I need to come out of this right with this song, or I don't know what I'm gonna do. Like, yeah. And that comes, I think, with a lot of industry pressure. That kind of mentality informs that kind of outlook, right? Like, oh, this right needs to go well. I need this. When it's more natural to you, the better songs are going to come, because going back to that point about you can't force anything. Like, I've seen so many artists, I think, over the past couple of years and even over the past decade since I started the show, like choosing to remain independent, choosing to remain on their own path, because then the songs will come as they come. The songs will be what they are meant to be and not what someone else tries to mold them into. Yeah. There's no external pressure. You think of somebody like Macklemore. The Heist just passed its 10-year anniversary, and
my favorite artist.
I mean, some people think he's corny, but like, I really admire what Macklemore has done, because they literally did that thing from the ground up with no outside help, choosing to remain independent. And all of a sudden, 10 years later, like, everyone knows who he is, love him or hate him. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, I've seen artists, who've done the major label thing or tried to pursue that route, then come back and say, I'm tired of having someone tell me what my art needs to be. I'm going to create on my own.
Yeah.
Because when they're telling you what it needs to be, like there's so much pressure to write the song this way. Do it this way. Don't bore us. Get to the chorus. Like all that happy horseshit. And at the end of the day, like it takes the creativity, it takes the fun, it takes the joy out of creating art and the whole creative process. It is a process. It's not a manufacturing process.
Yeah.
It's a process of trial and error. It's a process of finding what works. It's a process of finding your voice in all of this, because that's how you're going to actually connect to the people that connect with who you actually are.
Yeah, I mean, even just make the mistake, whether that's on a more extreme side of it of, oops, this label deal kind of fucked me, and now I know that I don't want to go that route. It's like, cool, now you know. You know, I look back on the album that, you know, we really dove into because it like just released at that time. Still have some love for it, but I'm not like, I'm not showcasing it, you know?
Yeah.
Like, I tweeted one time, like a few months ago, I was like, "Red out now," just as a complete joke. Cause it's, you know, it's just, it's something to learn from.
It's a previous point along the journey at this point.
Yeah, absolutely. It was like the first benchmark, you know. I listen back and I'm like, oh man, but that's okay. And you know, the other crucial thing, which in my opinion is most important, don't be fucking boring. Which can happen again with the assembly line, or it can happen with I've overdone it and I've nothing else to say. Because I kind of hit that point. I remember I was like really getting into like writing this one song. I don't even know if it ever came to be anything, but I was like, no, like I've said that before in a better way. And it's like, am I just going to talk about that again? Like, no, I don't really feel like it. And it just kind of hit me in that moment of like, you know, maybe not necessarily, you know, word choice or like using a thesaurus, but as far as the overall like,
the sentiment.
Yeah, the sentiment and the point of it, and that whole just planning. It was like I created this what should have been like a ramp, and now it just goes so high above me, and I'm like, okay, shit, that's tall. like fuck. But yeah, just don't be boring. Whether that's, you know, production choices or the notes you're choosing to hit or the riffs or the tempo or fucking whatever.
Create something new.
Yeah. Well, not even necessarily new, because in my opinion, originality is dead. And when you're sitting in that room with the pen and the pad or the beat machine or the guitar, whatever it might be, and if you're either first getting into it or you're trying to develop a new sound or, you know, like the next era of what you could be known for.
Yeah.
Like, if you print out, you know, all of these pictures of, you know, the biggest artists and, you know, whatever, and you do like the red yarn thing. Like when like people are trying to like crack a case and it just takes up your whole wall and you're manic as shit, you're not going to get anywhere.
Right.
So, you know, the whole, I have to be the first to do this. Like, no, like artists steal.
Right.
Like if you're an artist, you know the rules to break them. And that's why I feel like a lot of people aren't actually artists. I hate being called a musician. I fucking hate it. I'm not a musician. I don't know, you know, how to play an instrument like the back of my hand. I do enough to get by. I didn't take songwriting courses. I wasn't mentored. You know, everything I do is very juvenile, but like that's the point of it. I talked to a lot of people about this point, but more so recently, my manager, where it's like, you know, we're we're starting to get things off the ground. And so it's a lot of questions and, show me what you like to listen to versus, what you like to make. Whenever you're making something, like, make sure you play it through the speakers so I can hear it. And we'll just talk about, which one he heard that turned out to be his favorite, or, which tracks we should choose for a performance coming up. Just to, build like an understanding. And I bring up the point all the time of nobody gives a shit if you can play guitar.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody cares. In the same vein of, if you mess up that big label opportunity, they're not going to come chase you.
Right.
They're going to find the next one.
Mm-hmm.
So if you set yourself up as a singer-songwriter and I play guitar and this, it's like, dude, cool. Like,
but you're putting yourself you're pigeonholing yourself.
Exactly. You're pigeonholing yourself to playing at small bars and writers rounds and open mics, and it's like,
mm-hmm.
I don't know. To me, that doesn't resonate as far as how I would think art should be done.
Yeah.
And that's not to say where it's like everything needs to be punk. And it's like
right.
everything, you need to be angry, dude. Like, you're not screaming enough.
Right. It just needs to be authentic.
Yeah.
It needs to be real.
It needs to be authentic, and it needs to be interesting. That doesn't necessarily mean it's like so-and-so has used this BPM before, so I can't. Mm-hmm. It's like, no, you can use that. Just
make it your own.
Make it your own and have fun with it. Don't be like, oh, the guitar was slightly out of tune, so scrap the whole thing.
Right.
It's like, no, you should listen over and see if you actually like it.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter that it's not right.
Let those little happy accidents be. An artist who's been on the show a couple of times, Richard String, just dropped an album's worth of demos. Imperfect, like a lot of scratch tracks. It's incredible. Yeah. Because, like, it's coming from a real place. It's not polished, and that's the point. Like, he wanted to release it, get on, from this era of his life. And he's an incredibly creative guy. Does a lot of, he's done a lot of, like, synth pop production in his own work in the past, but, like, this is like an alt rock album. But the song structure and the sensibility, the melodies are still there, and it's really incredible work. You mentioned the singer-songwriter thing. I think it's funny because, like, somebody branding themselves as a singer-songwriter drives me up a wall.
It's so stupid.
It is I'm a singer-songwriter from Anywhere USA. You and everybody else. You know what drives me up a wall just like that? That's just as annoying now. I'm first name, middle name. I'm a singer-songwriter. Like, come up with something creative. Yeah. Everyone's using. I'm sorry. I'm getting on my box right now. Everybody's using their first and middle name. And it's not setting you apart from everyone else using your first and middle name. What does it tell me? Yeah. It tells me that you weren't creative enough to come up with a better artist name. Or just use, how about this? Your first and last name. Then it's you, and you're not just trying to appeal to country radio. Anyway.
Yeah.
Woo!
It's not a job application.
I got a little hot there. See,
no, get hot. See, that's the thing is I don't know. Yeah. I find different ways to be pissed off. Whether it's the day-to-day, whether it's something going on internally, something going on personally, or just the overall, which I don't know. Maybe I won't ever like how, things are ran or how things go, but there's plenty of those types of moments, even universally. It's like, what do you like to do? I like to travel.
I like music.
I love music. It's like, fucking
all different kinds.
Okay, cool. Yeah. I'm talking to a manila folder right now.
But
fucking hell, dude.
I'm talking to a manila folder.
Yeah.
That might be the best quote ever in the history of this show.
It.
Buy me tacos and touch my butt. Like, really. Be original, folks. Like,
live, laugh, love.
Live, laugh, love. Yeah, my sister has a live, laugh, love sign up in there. Yeah. Me and my niece make fun of her all the time. Love you, Joel. This is the second straight episode where I've roasted my sister.
Oh shit.
It's okay.
What's her name?
Listen. Jolene.
My bad.
Yeah, no, it's fine. It's fine. I roast her all the time. I do it to her face. It's okay.
Gotcha.
We have that understanding. I'm the best, worst
camaraderie.
I'm the best, worst little brother in the world. I pride myself on that.
Same.
But
bullshit.
But oh man, like the first middle name thing, the singer-songwriter, like it doesn't do anything to set you apart. It doesn't tell me anything about who you are as an artist, what your story is. It just tells me that you saw everyone else branding themselves that way, so therefore you decided to brand yourself that way.
Yeah.
Which puts you in the same pool as everyone else, not standing out.
Congratulations, you're contributing to oversaturation.
See, here's the thing. Like when I first moved to Nashville, like it was like everything about the industry is great, and whatever the industry standard is what should happen. Absolutely not. And here's the, like over the past year, I've done a lot of self-worth, self-reflection, healing work, and a byproduct of that is honestly, I'm not afraid to talk this shit anymore. So expect a lot more of this here in year 10, folks. Anyway,
you can't be.
You
can't be like afraid to do that, because it's like, again, with the whole self-worth thing, it's time and place, but it's also like, do I want to talk to this person right now?
Right.
No. Like I remember when I first moved to Nashville, I had like a long black middle part, fewer tattoos, but I was wearing like, I don't know, like a sleeveless shirt and like some crazy pants or whatever, just like being me. And I was at a party, and this dude comes up to me. He's in bootcut jeans, cowboy boots, and he has a shirt tucked in. He's like, "What's up, man? I'm insert name." And he's like, "Who do you know here?" And I'm like sipping my drink, and I'm just like, "Why? And he's like, "I feel like you do music." And I was like, "Uh-huh."
Well, here, listen to mine. Okay, bye.
Shocker. In Nashville, right? Wow. Good icebreaker, homie. And I'm like, "Yeah, I do a alternative punk rap." He's like, "Cool, like I'm in a country. We should talk more." And I was like, "No." Just walked away. It's like, I'm fucking good, dude. I don't need that. And that's not on like ego shit where it's like, I mean, do I like country? No. But
actually
it's just personal where I'm like, yeah, no, like I don't think we're gonna get along, and I don't want to force it, and that's not worth my time. So drive home safe, pal.
Well, the thing is, too, I think a lot of people make the mistake of trying to do business first. You actually have to build a relationship first.
Yeah.
That's and that's the thing. And like, if you've been in Nashville a while, like you get the sense of like, who's here to build relationships and who's here to just kind of further themselves, right? And it's a general understanding, at least in my circles, that like you become friends before you work together. Because that's where the best work's going to come from. That's where the most authentic, organic collaboration is going to come from. But also, you need your tribe. You need your community around you, because we're all on this crazy ride individually, yet together. And we all need to pick each other up when things don't go as planned.
Yeah.
Right? So it's very important to build relationships and not just make them transactional. Like, I'm the same way, where I see right through the transactional stuff. Like, this is another thing, again, that I'm now unafraid to say. I know the difference between somebody who wants to engage with this platform and somebody who just comes around every time they have something.
Yeah.
And that matters to me. If you're on
100%.
If you're on this stage talking to me, it's because I know you're a real person and you're not just trying to use this.
Yeah.
Or me. And that's a real thing. And look, I'm not like, this platform's not, Joe Rogan level.
Joe Rogan.
Yeah, well, I mean, in terms of popularity, whatever your thoughts are, like, I understand, my place in the ecosystem as it currently stands. However, I've been burned by that before, where I thought somebody was authentic and it turns out, as soon as I was no longer useful to them, or as soon as we had an interpersonal conflict that, was easily resolvable, they didn't want to resolve it because this was merely a transactional thing to them. I've had that happen.
Yeah.
So like this is another thing I've been bringing up a lot on the show, is like, you have to manage the energy around you. And I only want energy around me that's real, that's authentic, that's here to build a relationship first and foremost, because as we do that, whatever collaboration is going to come is going to come. But I'm not just like you. I'm not going to just force a collaboration.
Yeah.
Just to say I did. I'm not going to be like, I need to work with this person and not even assess after a while why I want to work with that person.
Yeah, no. I make fun of networking all the damn time. At that show where we saw each other.
Yeah.
I told my manager, I was like, anyone like you want me to talk to or like who here, like bring them to me, because I'm not going to walk up, be like, hi.
You're right.
Like, I do this. My name's O'Brien. I do this. Blah, 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 blah. It's like, no.
Right.
Like, I'm not even a people person. So like
Mhm.
when you were saying like, you know, like have your tribe, like that's definitely happened. And it's happened organically, which is great. Um, and again, like a different kind of wake up call where I'm like, okay, yeah, that's something to work on.
Mhm.
But I don't know. Like I'll talk to a stranger when I want to talk to a stranger, or I'll spark conversation when it, you know, seems like it fits the situation. But I'm not walking around like always being like, I wonder who I'm gonna make friends with today.
Right,
Like,
right. Trying to force conversations.
yeah, no,
I want my interactions to occur naturally.
100%.
And if you happen to be such and such in a position to help, like, cool.
Mhm.
If not, that's cool too. I connected with a human being. The human connection to me is so much more important than the transactional BS
Yeah,
that happens, you know. And again, like, it doesn't really happen in my circles, but I think that's because I've cultivated my circles to the degree to where it won't happen.
hmm
You know what I mean?
hmm
But it takes time to get there. You know, you have to learn the lesson. You have to have been there and been burned by a couple of those transactional type relationships to know what to look out for, you know. But once you do, like, then you're able to create amongst your community, create better stuff, and connect it to more actual humans who jive with it, you know. So
yeah,
it's all part of that process, right? It's an understated part of the creative process, relationship building, but building the right relationships on a human level,
yeah, no,
as opposed to this transactional, like, clout chasing.
yeah. I hate the cut the check.
Mm-hmm.
That's like a big part. Is like how, you know, we want to reconfigure, you know, my process in general of how stuff gets out there, what it sounds like, um, what level of compromise,
Mm-hmm.
you know, there is to be had, because I never been a fan of, you know, just like, oh well, we can't get the sound to this point, so how about this?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, oh, that's crazy. Like, I don't think that's true.
Mm-hmm.
But whatever. Um, but just yeah, no, like, I fuck with your sound, blah, blah, blah. You know, here's my PayPal, send me that. And then, yeah, versus like actually, you know, like spending time like talking about it,
Mm-hmm.
or like what you were saying about like cultivating, like I'm trying to cultivate, um, people that like want to be like a part of it and want to be like, yeah, no, like I was his first DJ, you know.
Mm-hmm.
I did this for his first tour. I worked on, you know, this album, and it's not just like a claim to fame, or like a uh producer version of like an IMDb page.
Mm-hmm.
But when it's like actually, you know, for what I'm trying to do, that's what we're trying to figure out right now. And I don't really care how much time it takes, because I feel like that's just like a really important thing for me. Um, but no, I totally get it. I hate the cut the check mentality, where it's
Yeah.
like, yeah, like everyone should be, you know, paid for their work and their services,
Mm-hmm.
and, you know, nobody should starve. I want, you know, everyone to eat that's around me.
Yeah.
But, you know, are you around me, or is it just like we got it
A
done?
payday.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. So what are you working on right now? The last time we
Nothing. I
spoke.
quit.
Fuck this all. No,
Yeah.
the last time we spoke, you were working on a quadrilogy of
Yeah.
releases, you know, that were gonna kind of weave their way through different genres, different moods, that kind of
Yeah.
thing. So is that still in the works? I know it's been 2.5 years. So
Basically, oh man, I can't even remember what it was at that point. Oh, no, I do remember. Yeah, it was going to be red, it was going to be something else, and then it was going to be blank part 1, blank part 2. And that was, again, kind of being like, okay, this is what makes me a threat, you know. This album, every song should be a different genre, and this. I had so many notebook pages of like dissecting each thing, and it's like, yeah, I'm gonna fucking do this. And this is my thing, and there's no one that's as versatile as me. And now I'm just like, dude, you're trying so hard. Yeah, so the quadrilogy is still in place. Um, Oddly enough, I'm not even like counting Red as part of that.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's just I don't know. It was super amateur, which is fine. Again, just kind of getting into it. But another part of the process that I've started to reconfigure and somewhat idolize now is like letting it breathe.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's great that I can, someone can sit me down and be like, "We need a verse in 5 minutes." I'm like, got it. But will that be the best verse I've ever written? No. Will it be good? Yes. So not in terms of, needing to best myself and this, but if I had waited a little bit with Red, if I had practiced a bit more, because one of my favorite songs on that project is the opening track, Public Enemy. I made that track, I want to say like 2 weeks before we released it. I remember I was talking to my team at that point, and I was like, this is my debut album, and it's 15 minutes. I was like, that sucks. And they were like, well, and I was like, no, I'm going to add another song. They're like, you're going to what? And I was like, I'm going to add another song. And then it turned out to be that. And I remember I made that, and I was like already at a newer point.
Yeah.
Because those songs were made at, this certain time. And then you go through the actual, finalizing process, which can take however long. I recorded every single one of the other songs in one day in a college dorm and just destroyed my voice. And just to be like, okay, yeah, like we got it done because it needed to get done.
Yeah.
But Public Enemy, yeah, like I remember I was putting that together on the computer. I was like, this is better than everything else on the album. Fuck. Oh well. But yeah, if I had waited and if I had stepped up a bit and I was like, yeah, no, like this doesn't sound good enough. Like it's not loud enough. It's not doing this. It's not whatever. But, I was just getting my feet wet and I was just stepping into a different world where, it was an actual engineer, actual manager, it wasn't just someone on social media or some dude that happened to be pretty good recording, me or getting mixes done because a buddy of mine that I went to high school with recommended him. It was like actual people that, honed in on their aspects of that industry. So, flashing back to present day, the whole quadrilogy, it's less of a like a box set or like every single book in the series you can buy it all in one.
Yeah.
And it's a continuing story. It's the whole thing. It's more so me kind of refining the ideas of what it was at that point. And there's still songs on certain projects that were already in a very similar place at that point a few years back. But yeah, it's just stepped up. And my goal now is to just kind of piss people off and throw people curveballs just in different ways, where it's like the first part of it, it's very, thrash and the punk rap stuff and explicit and calling actual important things out and not always just being like, I'm going to kill you. And then after that, it's like my take on pop music.
Mm-hmm.
So we go from this underground, disgusting, chaotic tour, bleeding every night, sweaty mosh pits, covered in fucking beer, whatever. And then we transition to like Vivo music, where it's like that other side of it. And again, like you were saying with like weeding out true fans and people that actually want to be a part of it. I want to act like I'm pigeonholing myself.
Mm-hmm.
I don't always want to have, spiky hair. I don't always want to be the wild card, the crazy guy screaming for the rest of my life. I'm not a Warped Tour band.
Right.
That doesn't need to be me forever. And it's great for what they do. And, they have that audience and they let it, grow to a certain point where they headline that type of genre.
Mm-hmm.
And that's great. But I want to be like an icon. I want to be working with stadiums. I want to be fucking, you knew who, and whether that's egotistical, oh well, fuck you. Self-worth, baby. But yeah, so it took a form of less of, this overarching story and, this 4-part, you haven't seen it all yet. And it turned into just how I want to create like the path for my artistry. Again, talking about the whiteboard before of like, oh, I'm being skipped out. So-and-so can't even get a song done in 6 months. And I have, this ready to go. I remember I was telling my roommate, a lot of people that have that overnight success, which doesn't exist.
Does not exist.
It took 8 years to get that one night, homie. Yep. But they get it, and it's so much, and they weren't prepared, and they didn't take the time to think of, how many people are in that room, again, at that round table listening to the project and typing away on their laptops, whether it's A&Rs, assistants, fucking, I don't know, maybe a stylist is in there, people that worked on the project, whatever, where it's like, that's a lot of pressure. You're sitting at that, king seat, and it's all eyes on you, and it's not, fans that are all staring at you when you're on stage, because that's a whole, that's great. It's people that are, this is their business. This is their money. Where did my money go? Like loan sharks. A record deal is a fucking loan. So, they step into that world and they're not prepared for it. And I would talk about that with my roommate. And I'm like, I'm ready for a 5-album deal right now. Because that's how I've set myself up, where it's like, one day I felt like making a punk song. One day I felt like making a ballad. One day I felt like making a pop song. One day I wanted to do some detuned, very trimmed down, like traditional punk song, or a piano instrumental, or a fucking like dance hall mixed in with like thrash. All of these ideas I didn't limit myself on, so I just started kind of throwing them at the board, and then eventually it was like, oh, well, that's similar to this, and there's 4 songs like that, and then this kind of works with this thing, and then it just turned into, oh shit, I have 5 albums. And again, it's not healthy. it shouldn't be that way. But yeah, that's what it turned into, of just like the path that I want to take. And I'm a lot more open, and that's something my manager and I have talked about a lot too, where it's like, don't hold a strangling grip on these songs, because you have this set up for 7 years from now. You don't think you're gonna write anything better in those 7 years? You don't think you're gonna work with someone better when you get to that stadium point and that's the album that you want to be the world tour and the headliner and this, you know, by that point, I could be some of the greatest musicians could be in the studio.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to turn that down because I'm like, yeah, well, this is from when I was 16 and I had it planned. So fuck you. We're keeping this. Like, no. So it's become a lot healthier. But as far as like the overall scope, yeah, it's just like switching things up and just wanting to evolve. And get better. And I have it in front of me.
Yeah. And I think that's one of the keys to longevity is evolution, being able to switch lanes, to switch gears, but keeping that common thread of you in everything else. That's the trend.
Yeah.
With any artist
My take on blank.
Yeah. With any artist who endures over time, over decades, it's because they evolved, but there's always this thread of them in it. And by endures, like, yeah, I mean, you can make one genre of music and tour on the hit record for 20, 30 years. But I'm talking those who stay in that public consciousness, who stay relevant, are the ones who evolve, the ones who speak to certain moments, the ones who switch it up. But it's the sound doesn't matter as much as it came from this artist and their interpretation
you can tell
of this. You know, there's just that undercurrent of them in it. You know?
Yeah, I don't need the next project to be, you know, my 808s and Heartbreak, where I break all the rules and you've never heard anything like this before, and it becomes one of the most like influential projects of all time. I don't need that. But I also refuse to be a flash in the pan. So yeah, it's just about, again, the longevity and why would I limit myself? You know, why would I stick to one thing when I can't even sit still?
Yeah.
Like, it's just, that's how it works for me.
Yeah.
There's been plenty of like bar conversations or meet up with friends, and they're like, what you been working on? I'm like, well, for the album that would come out in 7 years, I added an interlude. And then the album that I would like to drop next year, I made 2 songs for. And then the one after that, I created an EP in between just to, like, you know, build a bridge to it so it's not so, like, blunt as far as the change. And they're just looking at me, like, so confused. But I also like that, where it's, like...
keeping them guessing.
Yeah, keeping them guessing, keeping them on their toes, but also, like, don't little bro me just because I'm the youngest in the room, or... just because, you know, I'm not at that point yet. Yeah.
So we are coming up on time, but we've got time for a couple more questions. We could go all day, really.
Yeah, true.
If I didn't have another one like right after you,
bastard.
I'll keep going. That's going to be a fun one too. But so 2.5 years after that first feature we did, you've learned a lot. You've had the chance to go inward, to experiment musically. If there's one lesson you could go back to the O'Brien of early 2020 and impart upon him that would help him through the past 2.5 years, what would that be?
See, this is weird because whenever I watch like a artist interview or a podcast or whatever, they're so quick. They're like, what's the question? It's like, oh, like if you were stuck on an island, like what 5 albums would you bring?
Right.
And they're like, this one, this one, this one, this one, and this one. And I'm like, how? Like you just spat that out of nowhere.
The first 5 they could think of.
Yeah, literally. But I don't think I would say anything. I believe in karma a lot. I believe in the butterfly effect.
Yes.
And I don't know. I think what happened during that really led me to a point of my threshold of acceptance, and you know how the journey should actually be perceived, and a lot of that was the groundwork, and there was a lot of, you know, frustration, and there was a lot of nights where it was just like, what the fuck, like everything just got thrown out. You know, I'm still stuck in Connecticut, and then made the move to Nashville when really nothing was going on. It was just like, I need to get out. But there's been a lot of nights recently where I'm like driving around, and I'm just like, I'm pretty at ease, where it's like, okay, like I know people here, and there's things in motion, and there's going to be a lot more things in motion. I don't think I would say anything. Yeah.
So let the journey be the journey.
Yeah.
So
I mean, you know,
Yeah.
I would like to be in a better place, but I think that's everything.
Yeah.
And for anyone.
And I think that's part of the process too,
Mm-hmm.
is having something to strive for,
Yeah.
having a next level to reach, because there's always a next level to reach,
Yeah.
you know, and being patient as you work toward that level, being patient with yourself, being patient with the circumstances around you, realizing each day is just one day.
Yep.
Don't get too high or too low. Just keep going. It's all a process.
Oh, I'm not there yet.
Well, yeah. I mean, that happens over time.
Yeah.
You know, and like I'm finally just there, almost 10 years into doing this. You know,
Yeah.
within the past year. You know, but it's all part of the process. It's all part of the journey.
Yeah.
You know? So, where can people follow the journey?
Oh shit.
Yeah.
Okay.
I had to pull out the socials.
The plug.
Yeah, the plug.
On all social media, it is at Tortured Him, TORTUREDHIM. The guy that has the O'Brien handle is an asshole, so don't get on me for that. And it's not torched like a flame or something. It's Tortured Him. On all platforms, 0-BRIEN. Yeah.
Thank you so much for
That's
joining
that.
us.
Thanks for having me, man.
We'll do
is
this
awesome.
again. Yeah.
Hold you to it.
Always a great conversation.
Fuck yeah.
And this has been the Quinn Spin, 2 ends and Quinn, 2 ends and spin. Ooh, my battery's about to die. Hold on. I'm not editing this.
Panic.
I'm not editing that.
Was that camera on the whole time?
Yeah, camera's been on the whole time.
Oh, damn it.
Yeah, camera's
I
been
would
on
have
the whole
addressed
time.
it.
It's all right. Okay, now I need to start. See, like when I get out of the flow, now I need to start the whole thing over.
Throw it out of it.
My laptop told me, I guess the charger became loose somehow, and it told me it was about to die. So now it's not about to die. And this has been the Quinn Spin, 2 ends and Quinn, 2 ends and spin. You can find us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Anchor, Stitcher, YouTube, and more. Also learn more about the show at undergroundmusiccollective.com. That's our central hub for all things independent music, creativity, community, and more. Learn more about UMC on all the socials. I don't feel like naming them all. Also, listen to the UMC 20 playlist on Spotify. That's updated every Tuesday with 20 fresh tracks and the latest episode of the Quinn Spin. NashLive.live. We have more shows coming. I don't have any announced as of recording. Working on some things. Really gearing up for 2023 more than anything. Kind of want to take a breather, get our show schedule in line, but we'll leave you with something before 2022's out, so make sure you follow at Nash Live Shows on Instagram. Revel 9's All I Become. Our opening theme song is also our closing theme song. It's going to take us out, just like it brought us in, and I'll see you next time.
Now